gesels met Parusha Pillay en sy is die transformasiebestuurder by eiers. Parusha, welcome to Grootplaas.
Thank you for having me on.
It's such a pleasure, and it's awesome to talk about amazing initiatives like this. People focusing on the community and just bringing agriculture in places where it's so needed. So let's start at the beginning. How did this partnership with Buhle Farmers Academy come about?
Yes, so the partnership with Buhle started more than 20 years ago, where we would support the academy itself. And there's about 500 students annually that come through the doors of Buhle. And what happens at Buhle, so it's a training academy,
Yes.
and they provide farmer training. So it's a combination of theoretical and practical training for farmers. Now, these are not your typically, coming out of university.
Yes.
These are farmers that are in there, that have their own farms, that need a little bit of support when it comes to particular areas. And that's where they join Buhle. And we are supporting the academy so that we bring this kind of training to the specific category of farmers.
Now, tell me everything about it. I think the main goals of this initiative, what would be the ideal? What are you working towards?
Sustainability, job creation, and food security. I think those, if you can just put it into those broad buckets, that is our main objective. But specifically, if you look at this program, the egg nutrition program, here we are looking at specific goals, if you could call it. We are looking at bringing nutrition to schools through the production and supply of eggs. Then we are also looking at job creation, as well as building up entrepreneurs. And believe it or not, we also want to bring kids into the whole mix. So we want them to be exposed to agriculture. We're either choosing a career in agricultural sciences or to find themselves very interested in it and wanting to start a business in the agricultural space.
And I think the wonderful thing about doing this with children, for children, is I'm always so aware of the fact that a love for agriculture, it's got to be nurtured, it's got to be, grown from a younger stage, and also the knowledge that you can have the ability to produce for yourself. You can have the ability to provide for yourself. So I think this is just wonderful. I think it's quite interesting, according to you, how will this initiative help the communities of Delmas in the future? I mean, how does it look like now, and how is it going to change?
So currently, how it looks is that there is a school, or there are schools within certain districts, and there's this infrastructure at one of those schools, which, just for context, we are supporting 3 of these infrastructures within 3 schools, but they service 23 schools or 23 communities, if you can say that. Yeah, so apart from, currently what it provides is that infrastructure. So one unit would supply eggs to not only the students in that particular school, but also to their families, because they get a half a dozen of eggs to take home to their families.
That's
wonderful. That just, just increases the scope in terms of how we are impacting the communities. But also the communities now can also leverage off that. So, they could learn from their children as well. So
absolutely.
This is what,
yes.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's a nice ripple effect that's created in these communities. But also if you think about the water scarcity and stuff. So these units have borehole water that's been created. So if there is, for example, limited supply in the communities, which often is the case, then they have access to these water facilities or the borehole water at these schools. So, over the years, what we want to see at the end is that this is a thriving hub. So, where we could have community members also establishing the similar kinds of things to supply to the school feeding program, creating entrepreneurs, creating jobs, providing food security, I think most importantly. Yeah.
Absolutely. And the launch was last week. How were you, how was it, how did people greet it? I mean, how was it taken? Was it a warm welcome? I'm quite interested because it's one thing thinking and dreaming up an initiative and then actually taking it to the communities. How was it welcomed?
Communities had their arms opened. In a community where you don't see much happening, when something like this is established, there's hope created. And I think that's very, that's such a moving thing to know that you are doing, even if it is to just one individual.
Absolutely.
I think that's the most important thing, that you create that hope. And I know that beyond the financial contribution here, I think, is that we align on the purpose and the principles of what we are doing here. And so that's so important. But I think another thing that has come out, which has given me hope, is there was a lot of participation from government. The departments of education, social development, and agriculture. So they were there. And so, how we'd like to see this is partnerships. So it will be very crucial to get their buy-in into a project like this to scale it up, because there are multifacets to a program like this. And that's where we need it to grow and to scale and to become successful, which we are very hopeful of.
Parusha, I think the wonderful thing, obviously, this is now eggs are the focus. And we know eggs are a superfood that can really help learners and their families to improve their own nutrition. Now, is that the reason why you guys are focusing on eggs?
Yeah, so we're guided by experts in this field of what does provide a complete balance for nutrition, specifically so for kids. So I'm not an expert in the space, but I've been told that it has the necessary carbohydrates, proteins, and minerals.
Absolutely.
Exactly. And it also has, it's a more affordable protein option. And so with that combination, I think it makes for the perfect fit for a program like this.
That's really wonderful. And I think if we just look a bit, we step back and we look at supporting smallholder farmers in South Africa. Why is it so important? And please, if you can give us the broad picture, why the focus specifically on smallholder farmers?
So, as you know, in South Africa, we are not completely food secure. And smallholder farmers, they present a great number of farmers in South Africa. And if you combine that two elements on its own, you see that they play a very crucial role in contributing to food security in South Africa.
Absolutely.
And if not on it could be on a very broad level, but if you look primarily, it could be on a community and household food security, as well as job creation.
And I want to come back to the launch that was now at the Dell Park Primary last week. So this is now, it happened. What is next? You can't just plant the seed and hope it'll grow. What's the next plan?
So I think the next step is for action for the partners that were there at the launch. So we were all there together. We were discussing on how this project sustains itself. How do we scale it? And that's the important part here, is that, this project doesn't rely on donor funding in its entirety. We develop small businesses in and around communities to support a program like this. But we also look at partnerships, and I think that's crucial to make a project like this succeed, is that you get the necessary partners in to whether it's a market access, so, whether government comes in as a purchaser of these eggs to supply to school programs, as an example,
Yes.
that would be a great partnership to make this succeed. And I think that's where we would like to see it. We're calling on partners to help us, help Buhle, and help our kids of the future.
And we can't step away from the fact that our youth, such a big part of the children in this country, they deserve better. They deserve breakfast, a good breakfast. They deserve good nutrition. And I can absolutely see that hope that you were talking about. Something like this really, really gives hope. And I really think that you're going to succeed in that.
Thank you, Mia. Thanks for the support. And I hope this reaches many potential partners, and that we can be the change that we want to see.
That is the motto, one of the mottos I live by. Parusha, just before we end off, just for you personally, why is it important, why is it so nice or so special for you to be part of a project like this, personally?
So for me, I have a child, and it's very important for me as a mother that my child is fed,
Absolutely.
that my child receives good nutrition, my child has a good education. So, it's a very personal connection for me as a mother to see a project like this flourish, because there are many children that do not have those basics. And it's very heartbreaking to know that, So contributing in this way, I hope to inspire my son to contribute to the beautiful country that we live in.
Yes.
But I hope to, be an inspiration to those children that know that hope was given to them through a project like this, and that they can also make changes within their communities. As it impacts them, they would impact others. So I think that's how it's impacted me personally.
And like you mentioned, that hope and inspiration that's given on at school, they take that hope and inspiration back home, and hopefully that flourishes and that inspires people to just realize that you don't need much to make an impact. You can't change the whole world, but you can maybe change the whole world of one person every now and again, and that's quite special. So thank you for what you guys are doing. I hope it's a massive success.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here.
Dankie dat jy ingeskakel het. Ek hoop jy het 'n lekker dag wat voorlê. Gelukkig het jy om reg begin hier op Grootplaas. Ek en jy sien mekaar môreoggend weer, maar bly net daar. Soos altyd is die groot ontbytspan volgende. Ons sien mekaar weer. Totsiens.